Good morning and welcome to the show, everyone. It is time for the final Level 1 podcast of my consecutive streaming week. How are all of you? I hope you're doing well. It is Wednesday, the 14th of February, 2024, also known as Valentine's Day worldwide, also known as Ash Wednesday. If you are of the Catholic religion, Christian religion, there's a lot going on today. It's a pretty loaded day. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening on Earth in general, but in particular, today on the podcast, we got some interesting stuff to discuss. We got some interesting game news going on, and this game news is incredibly ironic. That's all I'm going to say, because I actually don't want to spoil it, because when I was reading up on all the news this morning to talk about on the show, and I saw this, I was like, you got to be joking, you've got to be kidding, and this has to be a prank, like someone is punking us. But no, it's real. So we will talk about it today on the show. I hope you're all doing well. This has been a pretty good streaming week. Admittedly, this week was me continuing on with all of the stuff that we've been doing for a bit here to try to get as far as we can. Because number one, I wanted to unlock the ability to do co-op with my wife, which worked out. It was a hell of a week to get to this point, let me tell you. I had to really grind in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to get to the point where this Dondoko Island, Sim Island co-op was available. But I got it done. And a lot of people complained. Oh, you're playing way too much Infinite Wealth this week. Why did you do that? Well, there's a good reason. Because people have said they wanted to see us do stuff together. This is what we've determined we want to do together. So we got to get to it, you know? If anything, once again, I will reiterate. I feel that in the modern gaming era, video games have become too long-winded, and too much of a time investment to make significant progress. Why did I have to play 22 hours of Infinite Wealth to unlock a minigame? I don't know, but that's how the game was set up, right? So there you have it. Anyway, this is an exciting day because we're going to be doing our very first ever co-op gameplay stream later tonight. Already, people finding negative ways to spin it because they're just a bunch of, idiots who don't think that us, for the first time ever doing gameplay together is a good thing, but instead they're going, oh, this is bad about it, this is bad about it. It didn't even fucking happen yet. But that's how people are. They're very negative people on the internet who always want to spin something in a bad way. So, I'm excited for today. I hope you guys are too. We got a lot to talk about. Like I said, we're going to update the schedule here so you guys know what's coming in the next week, because now we actually have some set times that we're going to be doing the co-op stuff that will benefit my ongoing playthrough of Infinite Wealth between the co-op streams. And I do know that we will, obviously, in the next coming weeks, be talking about updates to my content, because we had a big discussion yesterday about that. About the future. How it's funny that a lot of times, I'll be here on the podcast, and we'll do a good 90-minute podcast, and people are excited, they're engaged, we talk, we interact, and then they support that podcast and enjoy it, and then I boot up a game, and it's dead for the rest of the day. 3 hours of a game, and barely any interaction, almost no support during that segment, but people were all for the podcast. So does that mean that the future is more of this kind of content and less just pure gaming? A lot of people think yes, a lot of people think no. Opinions are all over the place about this. So we'll talk a little bit about that today as well, some of the feedback that I gauged. So, interesting to say the least, but it'll be a good podcast show today. We have a lot to talk about, okay? Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about yesterday's content so everyone is caught up on exactly what's going on in each playthrough. Yesterday, first stream was Baldur's Gate 3, where it was the first major stream in the Gauntlet of Shar. And just as people had guessed, the Gauntlet is time-consuming. 3 hours we were in the Gauntlet of Shar, and we encountered invading dark justiciars, a necromancer named Balthazar, who seems to just be an oddball character. I don't even know what take he or what input he really has on the story, because it seems like he's just kind of wedged in there. Several trials, 4 different trials of Shar that needed to be completed, some of which I pretty much trounced, and others I found ways around. Like, I guess the hardest one is the stealth trial, which I literally just kind of, skipped. And I just want to let you know, I don't look stuff up ahead of time. I had no idea what the Trials of Shar were. You guys had told me they were going to be time-consuming and annoying. I probably wasn't going to like them. And then I proceeded to skip the hardest one. No problem. So, I don't know if I just lucked out, or I thought into it enough that I kind of figured it out ahead of time to save myself time. I don't know. But I swear to you, I don't look up stuff. I did not research this beforehand. That's just how it turned out. Excuse me. So, after doing all the trials, and then running into this demon that's basically at the end of the temple, who's the demon that Raphael wants us to kill, now we're faced with a kind of not like moral dilemma, but a situational choice. Do you fight the demon, kill him, and complete that part of the quest line that way? Or do we look for another way around? And that's what we're doing. We're kind of investigating and trying to find another way around without having to kill the demon there. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is continuing to explore and find stuff in the temple and go from there. I'm hoping today we beat it. I don't know. For those of you who've played the game before, you would know more than me. But I'm definitely hoping that we are at the end of the Gauntlet of Shar and we can beat it today, because I would love to head to whatever the next part of the story is, because I don't know. I don't know. Do we get this artifact? What are they calling it? The Night Song? And then do we go fight the general? Is that the next part of the story? Because we already found out the general is trying to control an elder brain, and that's where the whole plot line is coming from. That they found a way to control these illithid, bugs or larvae, or whatever you want to call them, that are in people's heads controlling them. And so if we can beat the general and maybe deal with the elder brain or fight the elder brain, that should be the end of the game. So the question is, then what's next, right? There's a whole Act 3 coming. Is Act 3 post-game epilogue? Is Act 3 a whole new twist on the plot that you're not expecting? What will it be? Because all the plot is culminating here to the end of Act 2. So I guess we're going to find out maybe today. Again, the game is insanely slow-paced, so I have no idea how far we'll actually get today in the plot. I guess we'll find out, okay? So, we'll see. Anyway, that's today's first stream. Tonight on the late... that was yesterday's stream, is what I meant to say. And today's first stream is continuing on with that. Last night, on the late stream, it was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and great progress. Basically, I did the entire tutorial for Dondoko Island, which is the Animal Crossing-esque minigame in the game. And it took about an hour, which I was kind of upset about. I was hoping that the intro was only going to take maybe 20 minutes, so we could have a lot of time to spend. But sadly... no, it took forever. Much like everything in these RPGs, everything's drawn out. Nothing is of any kind of speed. So it took us an hour to get through the tutorial. The good news is, we've gotten to the point where now there's multiple parts of the island unlocked, both the entrance and the Great Tree. So doing the co-op that I'm starting tonight, I'll have a place to start with. Excuse me. And then we went back to Hawaii, and that hour and a half was great. Basically, we ran around and did a bunch of side missions, fought a bunch of fights, did a bunch of the social link kind of talks with the group. Actually unlocked a couple of new jobs, which I really love. There's the housekeeper for Chitose, and then there was the Desperado, which any male character can be, but I made Kiryu the Desperado, because honestly, the Geodancer, which Chitose was, I didn't really like. She only had like 2 moves that were worth using, and one of them I was using every single turn, and it was just like a kick move, nothing special. And honestly, the Action Star, which Kiryu was before, who looks like Bruce Lee, also wasn't that great. Had a few moves, but none of them were really too interesting or, weren't really helping that much in combat. So these new classes are better. Like the Housekeeper is all elemental attacks, which is exactly what you need. And then the Desperado has key armor breaking attacks, plus can shoot tons of enemies in a line. So it's basically pretty unique and fun, and I'm enjoying that now. So I'm glad that we got the new jobs. We continued on with a lot of side content and things like that. And by the end of the night, I had fought like 2 mini bosses, leveled up a ton. It was a really fun stream for the 90 minutes we weren't stuck in the tutorial. And then we basically set up so that tonight I can actually do the Dondoko Island co-op with my wife. So it was a very productive day yesterday. We got through pretty much all the daunting stuff of the Gauntlet of Shar, and we got through the setup and getting ready for the Dondoko co-op, which is going to be a couple times in the next week. Okay, so good stuff there. Now, I just want to bring this up quickly. I don't usually bring this up regularly, but just so you know, I have 2 other YouTube channels, and there's content on those channels constantly. On DSP React, every day there's been a new part of the DSP versus the Internet show that I do every single Sunday. I break it up into 6 half-hour parts, and every day there's a new part all the way through Thursday. So I hope that you'll give it a look. If you've never checked it out before, I rarely even mention it here on this podcast, but it's at youtube.com/@DSPReact. And it's good stuff. Now, in addition to that, during my Super Bowl marathon that I did on Saturday, I did my first DSP Tries It episode in like 4 years. I had suspended that show for an extended period of time and hadn't really done it. So I hope you'll check that out if you haven't. It's a good episode, me rating the Mr. Beast chocolate bars. So please give that a look if you haven't seen it yet. It's the featured video on that channel. And then on my other channel, DSP Throwback, which is youtube.com/@DSP Throwback. 2 things are currently going on. First of all, I'm alternating every day between a new part of the Final Fantasy 13 and the Red Dead Redemption 1 playthroughs, and they're continuing on. Actually, they're starting to pick up. I know a lot of people basically aren't following them anymore because now it's been a month and they're continuing on. And this is what I told you guys was going to happen. All these years, people were saying, upload Final Fantasy 13, upload Red Dead, upload those missing playthroughs. And I said, well, I will, but you understand those playthroughs are incredibly long. They're going to take work in order to get them ready to be presentable to a modern audience because they used to be 10-minute parts and they look like and sound like shit. And you're going to lose interest because these are long, drawn-out games, right? Like Final Fantasy 13 arguably has one of the worst first 15 hours of any game I've ever seen. I wish that was an exaggeration. It's so boring. And by the time the story finally picks up, most people are disinterested in the game, even playing it. They really fucked that game up. So here we are, I believe, like right now, I want to say that we're at like part, hold on, because I can look it up. We're at part 24 of Final Fantasy 13. So that's like 12 hours in, right? The game doesn't even get good till around hour 15, but the plot is getting a little more interesting. What's funny is at the beginning of the game, all the groups are together, then they break up, then they go to different pairs, they go over here, they go over there, they go over there, and nothing happens. Like, literally, this game is 12 hours in and nothing has happened yet. You could have skipped the first 12 hours. It's as if, you could have just read a quick plot synopsis. You missed nothing. It really is one of the worst written games. I don't know what they were thinking with this. They were trying to launch a whole new generation of Final Fantasy, and this is one of the worst efforts I've ever seen. So, basically, that one rolls on, and then Red Dead, actually, the new video of Red Dead that came out this morning is the first climax of the game. So it's around 9 to 10 hours into the gameplay. Finally, you attack Fort Mercer, which is where you've been trying to attack this fort the whole intro to the game, and it took you 10 hours to basically gather a gang up with enough resources and things to finally take the fort, and you do this big epic fight, and it's a really good part of the playthrough. I would actually say, yeah, this part is the best part of Red Dead so far. I actually really liked it. I watched it last night so I could title it and everything. And I was like, wow, this is really good. So if you haven't seen any of the gameplay over on DSP Throwback recently, that's where we are with those playthroughs. And to gauge, so you guys know, we're just, I would say, we're about just approaching, roughly, the halfway mark of Final Fantasy 13. Probably another few videos, and we'll hit 50%. And you might be saying, wait, but it's mid-February. You're only halfway through the game? Yes. That's what I kept telling people all these years. This is why I kind of held back from doing these playthroughs. That's how long they are. You know, Final Fantasy 13 is about a 30-hour playthrough, and we're approaching hour 15. You know, another week will probably be around hour 15, and then we'll be like, oh, we're halfway. But the good news is with Final Fantasy 13, that's the best part. Once you get to the open world part, where you can switch characters on the fly and all that, that's when the game actually gets good. It's much more entertaining at that point, but you have to get to that point, okay? Now, in Red Dead, this first climax actually leads to a really cool part of the game where now you go to Mexico. And by the way, I hear my landscapers outside. I'm probably going to have to close the window in a second. So you go to Mexico, and the plot actually picks up interestingly in Mexico, because all new characters are introduced, all new, you know, leaders and politics you get involved in and stuff. It's actually a really good part of the game. So right now, if you haven't been watching anything on DSP Throwback, now would actually be a good time to start getting caught up on it, because the best part of certain playthroughs is happening. Like Red Dead really gets good right now, and Final Fantasy within the next week should also hit its stride and get to the better part, okay? The only reason I bring that up, we're putting work into that every day, editing those videos, putting those out, you know, thumbnails, titling them and everything. The interest totally dropped off. And the thing is, we knew that would happen. 100% that was expected, that the interest was going to drop off because the playthroughs are so long. You know, we're part 18 of Red Dead and 24 of Final Fantasy, and we're not halfway through the games yet. That's the deal, okay? So I hope people will actually start watching if they haven't yet. And I hope that some of you who maybe like watched a few parts and suspended, you know, oh, it's not far long enough yet, maybe you'll start watching again, okay? Now, the other thing going on the DSP Throwback channel is that we're going to be doing a Retro React stream on Sunday night coming up. And we currently have a poll running to determine what game it is you guys would like to see me react to. For those who don't know what Retro React is, every other week what I'm doing is a late night stream where for about 2 to 2.5 hours, I react to an older playthrough that I've done from the past. And it's just me reacting to my old self, and it's really entertaining. The first one I did about a month ago was Red Dead 1, and that was really special. And then we did Dark Souls 1 about 2 weeks ago. So this coming Sunday night will be the next one. And you guys have been voting for a couple of days here on a poll on the channel. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And here's how the poll results have gone. Continue with Red Dead Redemption 1 is 10% of the vote. Continue with Dark Souls 1 is 28% of the vote. Bully 2013, my original run, is 22% of the vote. And currently sitting comfortably in first place, Play Heavy Rain from 2010, your original run, 40% of the vote. And if you do the math, that basically means that's about 15 to 20 votes determining the leader. Not to say that that couldn't change. It absolutely could. That poll will continue to run throughout this week into the weekend. So if you have not yet, head over to DSP Throwback. Again, youtube.com/@DSP Throwback, and vote for what Retro React playthrough you want to see me do on Sunday on the late night stream. Okay? Those streams have done well. Attendance is good. Engagement, support. People seem to love those streams. So I'm totally happy with continuing those on every couple of weeks. Okay? Cool. So it likely will be Heavy Rain, but that could change dependent on the vote and how it goes over the course of the week. Okay? Okay. So that's what's going on all of my channels. Now let's talk about what's going on in the next week here on DSP Gaming. Today, more Baldur's Gate 3 and hopefully the conclusion of the Gauntlet of Shar and possibly reaching for Act 3, although I don't think we're hitting Act 3 today. Okay? Tonight, on the late stream, my first ever late night co-op stream with my wife, Kat, It is Dondoko Island in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. The idea here is that she's going to use her expertise from having played it once to help me build an efficient, fun island that's going to make profit so that as I continue my playthrough, I can reap the benefits. The way Dondoko Island works, you build a virtual community. You build up activities. You clean the island up with junk and you gather resources and you craft things. And then you invite guests. The guests come to the island and enjoy all the festivities of the island and pay you money because they like it. Every time guests visit, they rate your island, and the higher they rate it, the better status your island gets, and then you can level your island up further, unlocking new areas, unlocking new abilities and things. And that's great. So you do it for a while. If you're really good at it, you can beat it in 10 hours. Most people take around 15 or more hours to beat it. Kat had told me it probably took her between 15 20 hours to beat it the first time, but now she kind of knows how it works. She was experimenting that first time, not really getting it until trial and error. Well, now she knows what to do. So she's going to be helping us to understand the best layout. Hey, she'll build the roads, and we'll pick the businesses and buildings we want to lay out, and we'll build those or build them up. And the way it's going to work is basically I'm going to man the stream, and we're going to have equal input in what we're doing in the island, but I'll be, talking with chat, updating leaderboards, doing shout outs, fielding questions from the people on stream, while she'll basically kind of run around and do the building and crafting stuff, okay? Which doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter who does it. It's just tedious work, much like playing Animal Crossing. It's more about the social aspect of the stream, the two of us working together to make the decisions, and then kind of, what happens also with chat. And by the way, I just want to let you guys know that is exactly how we're treating this, okay? This is us chilling with you while also we're getting stuff done in a game that's necessary to advance in the game. Because if you don't do Dondoko Island, basically there's a big gap in the game where you really have a hard time raising money. And that's the point. In Dondoko Island, you're going to be raising funds and applying that to your main game to buy, weapons, outfits, and things, unlocking new job classes. This is a big way to get tons of currency in the game that most people are doing. But this way, since we're doing it as separate co-op streams that are chill night streams where we can interact with you, it makes it more of a fun social thing rather than, okay, tonight I just grinded it all night for 2 hours and everyone's kind of like, meh, right? It's a lot better having someone else involved. So, I'm very excited for this. I hope that you guys are too. And again, if you are into social streams where we're just going to hang out as opposed to it has to be major story progression, there's no story progression in Dondoko Island. Zero. It's its own entity in the game where you can just do it at any point in the story. So, you guys can totally hang out with us and have a good time. And hang out and chill. And it should be great, okay? It should be fun. And I hope that you guys will join us for it. It's going to be something we're going to be ongoing probably like twice a week until we finally get it done. At the end of, whenever that will be. If we realistically are doing this 2 hours a session and we do it twice a week, well, that's 4 hours a week. So maybe 3 weeks. So, tonight's the intro. And then maybe we got like, by the end of February, we'll be almost completely done with it, right? At least that's the way I see it. So we'll see how it goes and go from there. But again, it's not just about the gameplay. It's about us hanging out. Rather than us doing a Q&A session where we sit here fielding questions, people ask the same questions nonstop and it gets boring. In this case, we've got something else to do while we're doing it. So it's kind of two birds with one stone, right? You guys want to hang out with my wife. I love having her on stream, but it gives us something else interesting to do as well. Okay. Dark Gaming, if you could stop complaining constantly in the chat, because I'm really getting negative vibes from you and you're starting to piss me off. All right? Kat is not going to sit here and play the whole thing. Are you deaf? Just said, we're doing it together. All decisions will be made together. She's going to do the busy work. She'll build the road. She'll build the buildings. That doesn't mean I could do it too. Who fucking cares? It's the same exact thing. The choices are being made together of what to build and where to put it and what setup. Like I said, I think we already talked about it previously, and you get these choices, and I think we want to build a more pop-centric island, because she built an island when she did hers, it was more elegant. So I think I want to do a more pop-centric island, which would have things like an arcade and stuff in it, like arcade machines and stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool. So that's the whole point, is to work together. She's going to take in her busy work expertise to build the stuff on the island while we make all the creative decisions and artistic decisions of the island together. But I'm sure also it's going to have to factor in with what do the guests want. Once guests start showing up to the island, they have wants. Like some might want something that's considered sleazy. So you have to build a few sleazy components to your island so they're appeased when they show up and stuff like that. You see? So I'll tell you right now, if your mentality is just to come to the stream to complain, then don't come. We want to have an opportunity to hang out with all of you, the viewers. Have some fun social, interactions with you. Let's talk. Let's chill. Let's talk about games. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about, whatever's going on. But also do this at the same time. If you don't want that, then don't show up. Really. Don't show up. I don't want sticks in the mud coming and complaining constantly. Oh, he's playing Like a Dragon? Yeah, like I told you, since the day that Kat arrived on stream and said she wants to play Like a Dragon with me, yes, that's what we're doing. If you don't want that, then don't come tonight. Stay away. Because no one's going to want to see you sit here and complain constantly, and you're going to be gone in about 10 seconds. Because no one wants that shit. Okay? We want people who just want to chill with us. That's the point of a late night chill stream. Do you understand? So, anyway. That's tonight. First time ever. I hope you guys will come by and hang out with us. It'll be a fun time, hopefully, and it'll break up the content so it's not just me playing Like a Dragon constantly. Because I'll be honest with you. With the fact that this game is so long, it's, upwards of 80 to 100 hours if you really do everything. The fact that this is a standalone kind of mini game, I get it that it breaks it up. At the same time, where was that going to fit into my schedule if I was going to do it solo? I feel like it was going to take up too much time. But the fact that Kat's going to be here for these streams makes it special. It definitely makes it feel different, like a separate event. And in fact, I'm going to set it up on my channel like that, where, yes, those videos will be added to the Like a Dragon playlist, but I'm going to have a separate playlist just for Dondoko Island, where it's basically going to be me doing the Dondoko Island stuff. So probably part 1 will be the intro, which we did last night, and then part 2 will be us building the island and then working on, doing that. So I think that's going to be great. And again, I hope that you guys will come with the right attitude. I don't want people coming here and say, oh, it's boring. Then why are you here? We told you what we're doing for co-op. If you're not here to chill with us, then don't come to the stream, right? We're not going to put up with that nonsense. And people just want to make, again, they want to make everything negative. Oh, well, because Phil's not controlling it with the controller and constantly playing, that means it sucks. No, it doesn't. What are you talking about? So what do you want to do? Just sit here and do nothing? So let me get this straight. I'm going to walk around and do everything on the island. I'm also going to be reading chat and interacting. I'm also going to be updating the leaderboard. I'm also going to be doing shout-outs. So what's she here for? Right? People just want to complain for the sake of bitching about something. This is not your place to bitch. No one cares. Okay? This is something special that we've been working on. If you don't like it, don't come. Thank you. Okay. Alrighty. So, that's tonight. Tomorrow, I'm off from streaming. I'm sure I'll have a lot to talk about on Friday about what I did on my day off. As usual, Friday, it's more Baldur's Gate 3, and what I'm hoping is on Friday, we're finishing Act 2 and heading into Act 3. Friday night is Friday Night Fights in Tekken 8, where it's my second ever playing with Yoshimitsu. I know I'm going to be rusty, because now the last time I played was Monday, so hopefully we have a good stream. I would like to do some ranked matches, but I definitely got to get back into the swing of things. Maybe do a couple quick matches first, and then once I feel comfortable again, move on to the rank. Saturday, more Baldur's Gate 3, and that's our second session of the Dondoko Island Co-op, where Kat and I will be doing it that night. Sunday is all React Day, all day long. DSP versus the Internet. It's going to be on DSP Reacts on the first stream, and then the Retro React stream on DSP Throwback, whatever you vote for, as we just talked about, will be on the night stream. Okay, Monday of next week will be a major stream of Tekken 8, and I'm probably going to mix it up. Like, maybe I'll do more Yoshimitsu, but then I'll say, okay, let's switch and let's go to Yoon or something, or not Yoon, June for the rest of the stream, because now June I haven't played with in a couple of weeks, and I want to maintain and not get super rusty, right? So probably do that, and then probably Monday night will be Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, where I play it solo. So now, after having played 2 co-op sessions with my wife, but going back, maybe I'll be able to reap some rewards. Maybe I'll have gotten some money rewards and be able to go buy stuff for my party and do more side questing and stuff like that. And then Tuesday will be more Baldur's Gate 3 and more Dondoko Co-op with Kat. And then Wednesday is Baldur's Gate 3 and me doing Like a Dragon normally, maybe advancing the plot, and that's the streaming week. So that's a lot of stuff, and if you're wondering, Gee, why so much Baldur's Gate 3 and why so much Like a Dragon? It's very simple. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is soon. It's coming out on the 29th of the month. This is a huge release. Everyone is looking forward to it. In fact, let's be honest here. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the really first big game release of this year. Is it not? I feel that way. I feel like it is the biggest one. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's hyped for it. The fact that we don't know what's going to happen in the plot, it's not the standard plot of Final Fantasy VII, is awesome. And I'm very excited to play this with you. Okay? But once that comes out, this is going to be a big investment of time that people are going to want to see it all the time. So I'm trying to get as far as I possibly can in Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon before it hits, because it's 3 fucking RPGs, right? Let's be honest. How effective is it going to be playing 3 RPGs at once? There are other games coming out in March. You got Rise of the Ronin. You got Dragon's Dogma 2. And you got other stuff as well. So other stuff is coming. But I just want to get as far as I can in everything before, for example, I get the feeling Baldur's Gate 3, as much as I'm enjoying it, and as much as we get a consistent, supportive audience for it, it's going to have to be played less. I can't play it every day anymore. It's got to go on the back burner when Final Fantasy VII comes out. That's going to be the game that's going to get all the attention. So maybe we'll squeeze in a stream of Baldur's Gate 3 here or there, but it's probably going to end up, you know, being played way less, or maybe even going on a hiatus and bring it back later. At that point, we'll be in Act 3, and that's the finale act, and, you know, that's fine. Maybe we should save it for a time when there's a lot more time to focus on it. I don't know. I guess we got to figure it out. We'll have to figure it out and go from there, all right? But we'll see. We'll see what happens once Final Fantasy comes out. Because, again, you can't predict. You know, when Tekken 8 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth came out, I didn't know if people were going to like those as much and want those as much or more than Baldur's Gate 3. Not really. Baldur's Gate 3 has remained the staple that people come and hang out and engage and support with. While, as you've seen, it seems like the interest in Tekken 8, as much as I'm committing to getting good at it, it's just not really there like it was with Street Fighter 6. I couldn't have predicted that that was the case. That's just the case, right? So there you have it. Okay. Anyway, so that's what's going on in the schedule for now. Next big event coming up will be my birthday event, which will be the first week of April, but we've got many, many weeks to start planning for that. I don't even really want to get that far ahead of myself yet. So there you go. All right? All right. Before we get to the news segment, which is going to be a very hefty segment today, okay? I just want to say thank you all for your support and feedback. A lot of people have given me some feedback regarding our discussion yesterday about what to do in the future. Should I continue to be a full-time gamer? Should I diversify myself more, do more talking style content? Because you guys seem to like this. These days, a lot of people seem to like this even more than the gameplay, right? It's a tough decision to come to. I've already gotten your feedback in some regards. Like, some people left comments, some people emailed me. Thank you for that. Please continue to do that. I feel like I'll get more feedback over the week, and we'll probably talk about this again over the weekend. Today, I don't really want to because we have news to talk about, and I don't want to not talk about the news, especially when it's such an interesting topic, to put it this way. Okay, so thank you for that. The other thing I want to mention, guys, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Please continue to support the streams. Yes, the revenue is down on YouTube. There's nothing I can do about that. I can't make YouTube not allow people to use VPNs to buy memberships for like less than a penny each. So, yeah, this channel has thousands of memberships of which I don't get paid for, and it's really hurting me right now. So, any support that you can lend to the channel. If you've gotten a gifted membership, and this is something that you might have bought previously and now you're not buying anymore, please consider contributing in another way, whether it be a super thanks or a super chat or a tip. All of that helps a ton, and it would be great to help to make up some of that lost revenue that I have now significantly lost for a month and growing. I need to find a way to crawl back from that, okay? So please consider contributing in some way. I always try to hit $50 of tips on every stream. I don't. Like, you know, pretty much all my night streams these days are slow, and there's nothing I can really do about that. But the day streams seem to go pretty well. So, again, if we can hit that goal today, that would be great. Thank you in advance. And that's it. I'm not going to harp on it all day long. Okay? Cool. Let's get to the news. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for everyone's favorite segment. The segment where I go close my window because I can hear the landscapers and they're way too loud. Because here they come. I can hear them coming right now. You hear that? It's getting louder and louder. So allow me to go close the window first. And turn the fan all the way up. Okay. Okay. All right. You can never hear it? That's bullshit. People always say they can hear it. What are you talking about? Okay. So, we got some interesting news this morning. 2 news stories I'd like to talk about today. Okay? Let's do it. First news story. Oh, I didn't mean to take a screenshot of this one. Here we go. Are you ready for this? Let's talk about this one first before we get to the big story, because this is a good story to talk about. So, how many people out there knew that last year EA, Electronic Arts, released a game that had a budget of $125 million that was a AAA single-player shooter with RPG elements? Did you know that this game was released last year and existed? Did you also know that the game monstrously flopped and that no one bought it? And did you know that now, because of that, okay, for some reason, okay, EA is using this as a scapegoat or straw man? And what they're saying is, this is our evidence that these single player games just don't work anymore. And therefore, we're pushing this in a different direction. And we're going to focus more on games with microtransactions and live service, because this is our evidence that single player is not the future anymore. Now you might be saying, wait, what? Like, what are you even talking about? Right? Like, what that didn't happen. You made that up, right? No, it actually happened. The name of the game, for those who don't know, was called Immortals of Avium. Okay? I remember seeing like a clip of this game. It was on the Summer Game Fest, and I don't remember if it was actually last year or the year before. And I remember what the game looked like was basically first person, like Hexen upgraded. Did you ever see Hexen? Probably not. Most of you are probably not of my age range. So in the 1990s, a lot of first person shooters came out. You had your Wolfenstein 3D, which started the craze, killing Nazis and stuff like that. But then you had Duke Nukem 3D, Doom, and all of that. And then you started having spin-offs. And one of the spin-offs was called Hexen. And the selling point of Hexen was that you weren't using guns. You were using magic. So you'd use like a magic wand. You'd be shooting like electricity or fireballs or ice, poison, you know, cool things like that. You could summon, I think you could summon monsters too that would help you. I can't remember exactly because I haven't played it in 100 years. But I remember playing it and loving this game. Because, like, essentially, if you like fantasy, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, if you like Lord of the Rings, if you like that kind of stuff, you're going to love Hexen. Because it really was the first-person game with mass combat that wasn't just unloading ammo into everything around you. Okay? So I loved it. And when I saw the footage of Immortals of Avium, I said, this game almost looks like the spiritual successor to Hexen, except now you've got more RPG elements, you've got modernized gameplay mechanics and graphics, so it kind of made sense. It looked interesting. My problem was when we were watching all this trailer footage of it, you know, preview footage of it, it was called Immortals of Avium. All right? Right off the bat. Does that name appeal to you in any way? Immortals of Avium. Immortal. So it was like gods or people with superpowers. Kind of reminds me of that Marvel movie Eternals. And we all know how good Eternals did, right? It was one of the worst performing Marvel movies of all time. So, when you hear that name, does it catch you? Does it interest you in the game in any way, shape, or form? No. It's like a real generic name that doesn't really ring any interest in the game, correct? So what is Immortals of Avium about? Do you even have any idea? When you see Wolfenstein 3D, you're like, okay, it's a war against the Nazis. When you see Doom, oh, it's a war against invading, you know, hell demons, right? When you look at Immortals of Avium, you don't know what the fuck this game is. You're like, what is this? Gods? Otherworldly creature? Is it fantasy? Is it actually magic in medieval times? No, because it looks like Space Age, but is it Space Age then? It's just this weird mishmash. And I hate to say it, we've kind of seen it before. There's been other games that have been like this that have also flopped, you know, this kind of style. What was the big budget game that came out around the early days of like Xbox 360 and PS3, and it was supposed to be this giant epic, and it flopped miserably, so they never made any more. They were supposed to make like a sequels, and they never made it. I can't remember what it was called. I've told you guys about it because I bought it and I played through it, and I found it very grindy, but I beat it once and I actually played it again. I can't remember what the hell the name of the game was. It's ancient at this point, so you guys probably wouldn't even remember it. But it reminded me of that because that game had like magic, but it was also futuristic. So it didn't make sense. It was weird hybrid games. Like, well, you don't even know what they're going for. Is it old? Is it new? You don't even know, right? And that's really what Immortals of Avium looks like to me. A game that doesn't really have a unique identity. And because of that, you have a bad name, right? And you don't have a unique identity. So the only way that... yes, it was Too Human. Hobo X got it. Too Human. When I see Immortals of Avium, it reminds me of Too Human. Go look at that game, Too Human. It looks very similar in style. Now, gameplay elements, no, but the style, like the art design, looks very similar to me. And I was like, it didn't work back then, so why would you try this again in 2023, you know? So anyway, so what's going to be the hook of this game then? Well, hopefully they market it well, right? Hopefully this game is marketed very well so people will know exactly what it is, so it doesn't have an identity crisis, and people will check it out, especially if they're saying they invested $125 million, AAA studio assets and everything to it. So what do they proceed to do? They literally don't market it. Like, I didn't even hear about it until you guys told me it was coming out. I didn't even know when it was coming out. And they released it literally between Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield. So Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, all the hype's about Baldur's Gate 3, and now what's the next thing? Well, we got to see if Starfield can live up to the hype because Baldur's Gate 3 has far exceeded expectations. Can Starfield live up to the hype? Literally, the discussion of those two games erased this game from existence. Like, no one even knew it happened. And by the way, they charged $70 for it. For a new IP that no one knew about, wasn't advertised, sounded boring in name. What did you think would happen? Did you think people would just, on a whim, buy your $70 game just because you created it? That's not how it works. See, I think EA is really in this old school mindset. EA is thinking of the old days when there wasn't a lot of competition, right? So because of that, the EA would release a giant game and everyone would flock to it and buy it just because it was EA. Everyone would say, oh, Electronic Arts, we know them. They're the ones who make all these big high-profile games. So every time one comes out, we know to trust them, right? So we know to buy it. And that's just not the case anymore. Now we have so many AAA studios pumping out games at the same time. There's too many to all play at the same time. You've also got smaller studios. Like, let's be honest, Larian. Was anyone looking at them as like big AAA style? No one thought that. Now, with Baldur's Gate 3, everyone's looking at them like, holy shit, what an amazing job they did with this game that came out of nowhere. We never thought Baldur's Gate 3 would be that good. And, it ended up being Game of the Year, right? So what's happening now, not only do you have this oversaturation of the market, too many games at once, you've also got too many AAA style games all competing for the same market space, and now you've got other studios that are coming out of the woodwork actually making comparable experiences to the AAA ones, but it's not the same bloat that you're expecting. I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 has made everyone look ashamed, right? Game devs literally came out after Baldur's Gate 3 released and said, don't think every game we make is going to be like that. That's unfair. Well, no, that should be fair. That's your competition. That's the new golden standard. And if you can't live up to it, then don't make games. Because what's going to happen now is, what do they say? The cream rises to the top. So the good games now are the ones that are going to get featured, and games that are just shovelware or mid experiences are never going to get played anymore. Now, that wasn't the case back in the day, because back in the day, there wasn't as much competition. But EA still thinks it's 2010. EA literally thinks we're in a situation where any game they put out will immediately sell, and they don't have to put effort into it. They don't have to market it. It'll just be good. That's not reality anymore. You have to work hard now to get your game noticed, and to do something that will go viral on social media and get memed and people will want to buy and play. You have to work for it. And the other funny part is, you never know when a game that you had no clue was coming will come out and all of a sudden take over the gaming landscape. Take a look at Palworld. Did anyone see that one coming? Did you really think Palworld was going to sell that many millions of copies and be the only talk of gaming for about 2 weeks? Of course not. But that's what happens now in modern gaming. We're in a different landscape, a different climate, and a different world. This is not 2010, but EA thinks it's 2010. So they put all this money into this game. They don't advertise. They put it out at the worst possible time between two ginormous competing AAA releases. It's a new IP. They don't give you any reason to buy it. They don't even explain what the fuck it is. I watched the gameplay trailer presentations. I didn't know what the game was. I was confused, right? And now the game comes out, no one buys it, it flops horribly. Oh, well, this is our justification that single-player games are failing. No, idiots. It's a justification that your management is terrible and your company is now an archaic dinosaur in the realm of game development. That's what this is evidence of. There's nothing wrong with a game like Immortals of Avium if timed right, marketed right, and actually released at a window where people will check it out. But you're idiots. And you run your company horribly, and you're running it into the ground by only relying on microtransactions on sports games. You know, this is just sad because you take a look at companies like Valve. Valve was an outstanding game developer making cream of the crop, top of the line AAA games, right? I mean, shit, the Half-Life series, the Portal series, Team Fortress 2, among others that they were pumping out hit after hit after hit. Then they released Steam. Yeah, we don't want to make games anymore. We're just going to make money on Steam, right? Rockstar Games, making a wide variety of amazing games. The Grand Theft Auto series, the Bully series, the Red Dead series, Midnight Club, and other things that diversified. They released GTA 5 Online. Oh, well, we don't have to do anything else anymore. Cancel all DLCs, cancel all other games. Well, we'll release Red Dead 2 because we were already far enough into development. Everything else just delay and just keep making GTA 5 content. So what's happening is, these companies are falling in line to what's easy rather than what's creative, artistic, or actually good for gaming. They don't care anymore. They just want easy mode profits. And when EA does something like this, right, you could tell that the truth is all they want to do is be Rockstar. They want to find that golden formula where they have to do absolute minimum work and maximize profits. Because if you're going to use Immortals of Avium as a scapegoat, instead of as a shining example of why your management of your company sucks, all you're doing is refusing to look in the mirror, and instead, you just want the easy money. So just fucking go into pachinko, right? Do what Konami did. Turn all your IPs Madden pachinko, right? Madden slots. Do it, fucking do it. Every franchise, just fucking sell it out and go do gambling and you know, just do that. Because I'm tired of this fucking bullshit. And you know what? That'll actually be better overall for gaming. You want to know why? Because the market will stop being so saturated with crap games with microtransactions attached to them. The less crap games we can have to free up the market share to other games that actually tried, that's what we need. So get the crap out of there. Let EA go make their money elsewhere in a market share where actual gamers don't give two fucks about them. Leave us alone and let us enjoy gaming. I'd much rather have game devs be employed by a company that cares about the product they're putting out than the amount of money that the product generates. So that's just sad, because I guarantee you that Immortals of Avium probably isn't that bad, but no one will ever play it because EA just didn't give two fucks. They thought, oh, it's just a guaranteed, it's just gonna sell. No, it's called effort. You don't put it in anymore. So that's why your game tanked, because you're idiots. Not because the game devs did a bad job. The game looked decent in the game previews and things that I saw, but it had no identity, no marketing, and you released it at the wrong time of the year, and then you blame the game. No, it's you. You're the problem. How can you be in charge of a company, have things constantly failing under your watch, and then blame others? You're the one in charge. You're literally the one who made all that happen. How do you blame others? What? What is going on with these fucking people? Anyway, so that was our first game news of the day. We have another really huge story to talk about, okay? Prepare for this one. Okay? All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to approach this in a pretty interesting way. All I'm going to do, I'm going to read some statements, okay? I'm going to compare them to something that's happened recently, and then I'm going to make a big reveal, okay? So here we go. In the past, Sony wanted to popularize console and first-party titles. Main purposes were to make the console popular. That's true, but there's a synergy to it. If you have strong first-party content, not only will the console, but other platforms like computers and first parties can be grown with multi-platforms that can have operating profits to improve. That's another one that Sony wants to proactively work on. There's opportunities out there to improve margins and improve margin performance. So you might say, well, that's a lot of legal jargon, but business jargon. What does that mean? Allow me to continue, okay? Regarding first-party software, Sony aims to continue to focus on producing high-quality works and developing live service games, but also moving forward, Sony will now be taking most of their first-party products and porting them to third-party platforms. Okay? One more thing, one more statement I'm going to read. Sony Interactive Entertainment will not be releasing any new major existing franchise titles before March 31st, 2025. So let me summarize what I just read, because again, it's a lot of business jargon. Sony is now saying, well, let me say this again. It's being rumored that Sony is no longer going to be making tons of first-party games. The first-party games Sony makes are eventually going to be ported over to all third-party platforms. They're looking for more margin, meaning they want more profit from the money they're investing in first-party titles that they're developing. So an example, the next God of War likely will be a PS5 exclusive for a few months, then immediately show up on PC. That's what they're saying. They want to make more money from the investment they're putting into their first-party titles, and they're not necessarily seeing that as a exclusive deal anymore. For example, when the PS5 first came out, if they release God of War and it's only on PS5, well, there's a selling point for PS5. It makes people want to have the console. But now, we're many years into the life cycle of the PS5. If you want one, you can get one. Most people who wanted one already bought one. So there's no point to keeping games as console exclusives anymore. Leave it on there for a few months, port it over to somewhere else, make tons of profit. You're not going to sell a bunch of extra consoles at this point in the life cycle of this console just because that game is exclusive to it, okay? Now, this sounds a little familiar. You remember last week in the gaming community, this same story came out. But the difference was, it wasn't Sony. It was Xbox. Remember? Oh, Xbox is giving up. They're no longer going to have console exclusive games. There'll be no reason to buy an Xbox console because all their games will now be cross-platform. You don't need the Xbox ever again. They're throwing in the towel. The sky is burning. The fires, the apocalypse for Xbox has happened. This is the end of everything. Remember, this is literally the same story that we had last week for Xbox. Correct? It sounds exactly the same. They're going to no more major focus on first party. All our first party games are going to go third party. That's what the rumor was for Xbox. So now the same rumor is happening with Sony. Now, what has happened in the last week? Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, came out and said, all the rumors you're hearing are not true. I'm going to do a business update on February 15th explaining the truth about the future of our games. And that's tomorrow. So we won't actually know the truth about Xbox until tomorrow. And I'll talk about that on Friday's podcast, okay? But basically, what happened was everyone backtracked after a week of rumor mongering. Everyone on the internet said, oh, by the way, those were all rumors. It's not true. We all falsely reported this as fact. And now it looks like it's the opposite. No, Starfield is not going to go cross-platform. No, not every Microsoft exclusive game will be cross-platform. We all misreported for clickbait views on our content because we're a bunch of scumbags who are desperate for your attention to make money. Pretty sad situation. These are supposed to be journalists, and they all misreported to sensationalize and get attention on their content. It's pretty fucked up, okay? So tomorrow, we'll have the truth of the situation straight from Phil Spencer's mouth, and I'm interested to see what it is. By the way, my speculation, some games will be going cross-platform like Hi-Fi Rush and others. Others might eventually, but I think it's always going to be a timed exclusive. You'll get it on Xbox first, then you'll get it on Sony later. That's my guess. I think that's the smart business move, okay? So now here we are today. The same exact story has released, only it's not Xbox, it's Sony. Sony is saying, no longer does it make sense to have first-party titles that are only on PlayStation. Our business plan is to start on PlayStation and port them over to other consoles within a little bit to make extra money, to increase our margins. And by the way, we've dramatically cut back on first-party titles. We're not even going to have another first-party title release till March of next year. Now, wait a minute. What's the difference between last week's rumor mongering on Xbox and this news about Sony? I'll tell you the difference. You ready for this? Here's the key difference. This story came from Sony president Hiroki Totoki. This was not some asshole on the internet making a fucking story up to get clickbait views on an article. It came from the goddamn president of the company. He was saying in an investor's call that this is their new strategy moving forward. So I have a question for everyone. I'd love to hear this, all right? Excuse me. Why, last week, when this story was about Xbox, was it reported as it's the end of Xbox, the apocalypse? I saw burning Xbox logos, big nuclear explosion clouds, people going like this. It was crazy. The reaction was, this is the end of Xbox. It's over. No reason to ever own an Xbox ever again. Okay? Literally the same story has just come out, and the president of Sony has confirmed it's real. He's the one who told the story about PlayStation 5. Where's the reaction on the internet? Where's the burning PS5, the exploding consoles, people freaking out? Oh my God, the Sony ponies are dead. Why don't I see that reaction? I'm a little confused. This is a real story. This isn't a rumor that some asshole made up for clickbait and everyone ran with the story to get similar clickbait. This is actually from the mouth of the president. So where's the controversy? Where's the freakouts? I don't see them, right? Now, here's the truth, okay? This is standard business practice. This is good business, okay? To do that, to take your first-party games that you worked hard on and invested tons of time and money into, and to make sure that they reach the maximum player base is a smart business move, okay? Now, I personally feel that if you have a first-party studio, a studio that's exclusively owned by Microsoft or Sony, you should release it as an exclusive on your console first. You don't have to, but it makes sense. God of War likely should always be exclusive to PS5 first, and then maybe get ported to PC, and maybe even if you want to, the Xbox console later. Xbox has flagship titles too. They're not as big, but what about Halo? What about Gears of War, right? Launch them on Xbox first, wait a few months, then have them come out on the other platforms, right? That makes sense to me. I just don't understand, right? Why is this a big deal that this is even being discussed? It is no big deal. Here's where it's a big deal. If you are an Xbot or a Sony pony, and you still think that there's console wars, there's not. And you still think that it's like, you know, this group versus this group, like two rival gangs going at it. It's not, okay? This is reality. In 2024, this is not the 1990s where it was Nintendo versus, you know, Sega or PlayStation going into the mix. You know, this is not that at all. I don't know where people think that we're still in that mindset. It's not. This is just business now at this point, okay? It's time to stop with this dumbass mentality. And by the way, it's time to stop with the clickbait. Like, and I wish that that people would listen to me, because they don't. No one listens to me anymore. But I'm glad that at least I got a few hundred people that listen to me every day on this show. This clickbait shit is so rampant in the gaming community now. People literally making shit up or taking a rumor on a rumor on a rumor and acting like it could possibly be fact and doing 2-hour shows speculating about it because they have no content to offer you. Okay? These people are not creative. They're not smart. All there are swindlers. They're the modern snake oil salesmen and women. They literally take bullshit and talk about it for hours as if it's worth your time, because it's all about drama and hype and controversy and, you know, conspiracy, and you believe it all, and then it's all a waste of time. There was no point to any of it. All that stuff last week about Xbox burning never existed, was wrong, and anything you listened to, you wasted your time. If you watched a news story, you read an article, you saw a podcast about it, it was literally wasting your time. Those people don't respect you. Those people only care about getting money from you. You understand that? That's it. That's the reason they make their content. There's no other reason anyone would lie about a conspiracy like that and act like it was going to have any kind of real legitimacy to it. There was no evidence that any of that shit was legitimate. They lied to you to get your attention, okay? Same thing now. Now, why is it now, it's a week later, Sony confirmed all the same stuff that was said about Xbox last week, except it's about Sony, but now none of that is being discussed at all. It's not even a big deal. I wonder why. I wonder. You got to think about these things, man. You know, I'm 41 years old. I've been around the block. I've been covering video games now for 16 years. So I kind of see what's going on behind the scenes where a lot of people don't. These people are all fucking trying to fool you into thinking what's important, what's not, to get money from you. And you got to not be fooled by this shit, okay? People got hundreds of thousands to millions of views on crap content in the last week and a half that didn't deserve any of it because it was all fake. People just fall for it, you know, nonchalantly. So, you know, be careful. But I just find it very, very funny, to me, that the same exact story is out now about Sony and no one cares. It's no controversy at all, man. It's fine. Why Sony is okay but not Xbox? Because the controversy is you take the second place guy and you act like they're burning. And that's what creates the controversy. That's what creates the conspiracy. That's what creates the hype, the drama, whatever you want to call it, the rumor. That you know, everyone's becoming now the TMZ of the internet. Just make shit up, rumor, and act like it's a fact and benefit from it. And it's fucked up, you know? Xbox didn't have to do a special event tomorrow to explain themselves at all. There's no reason for it. There shouldn't be any confusion. But people just lied. So now they have to waste their time doing a fucking podcast to say, no, it's all lies. You know? Like, what the fuck? Anyway, that's that. I mean, I just find it hilarious, and I wish there was more to add, but it's just sad. That's the state of the internet today. It's the state of humanity. People are just so gullible, and they want to believe the drama. Anything that's drama, they want to believe. So the only reason those stories had traction a week ago is because people want to believe that Microsoft, that Microsoft, who's number 2 now in the console market, right? Or number 3, I should say, because Nintendo's number 1, Sony's number 2, and they're number 3. They want to believe that they're burning and that's the end. You know, they love a good dramatization of failure, and it's fucked up. It's time to grow up and stop fucking, you know, I think it's sad. If that was true, and if Xbox literally announced tomorrow, we're giving up on consoles. You know, we tried hard, 3 iterations, or 4 now, 4 generations of console, but it's just not working out. We're moving on. I'd be very sad. I like competition. I want to have people competing because that makes it so that each strives to be better. When you only have one dominating company in a market, what you end up is stagnation and lack of innovation. I want to see these companies compete because that creates that innovation for you. It's beneficial to the consumer to have it. It's not beneficial to see Xbox burning. If you're a Sony pony, you're a fucking idiot. Your things will get worse for you if Xbox fails. You understand that? But they don't. They're that dumb. They're ignorant idiots who just want to have more drama and more wars and more we win and you lose. And what are you, 5? I guess so. I guess these people just never mature. They continue to have the mental acuity of a small child. You know, a superhero, supervillain clashing against each other. They think that's the world. They're just so dumb, right? Anyway, I think I've ranted enough about this topic, folks. You get full information about it from the call that Sony did this morning. They had an investor call, and the Sony president talked about all this in a Q&A segment, which everyone was like, whoa, it's eye-opening. We didn't think that Sony was thinking like that, but no, they are. They want to take all their first parties to other platforms after a little bit to make more money. Makes sense to me. I don't even see the problem there, you know? Okay, folks, it is time for shout-outs. So let's get to shout-outs, shall we? On the YouTube side of things this morning, first contribution that came in was from OG Cookies TV, who did a super chat and says, I'm broke, but I will support the homie forever. Thank you, OG Cookies TV. If you're broke, I wish you the best. Thank you for the support. Ezra Bones, with a membership, saying, petting my kitty. His name is Skipper. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I hope your kitty has a good day with you. On Phonem Grave, with a membership message saying, thank you, Phil. You're welcome. Old Jen Ash, 6 months as a member, says, love you, Phil. Thank you very much, Old Jen Ash, for supporting the channel. Okay. On the tip side of things, first tip of the day. Oh, by the way, hold on a second here, because That's interesting. No, what I was going to say was, I forgot to put On Cookies TV on the leaderboard. Let's do that. There we go. Wait, no! I screwed up. It's last super chat. I'm sorry, guys. Cool. Okay, so I received a $10 tip from D-Man, and D-Man is telling me a giant story, which is why I got distracted there. I actually know somewhat about this story, but I didn't know this extent of it, or how this came about. I'm going to read this to all of you, okay? Okay. So, let's see here. So from D-Man, he says, Phil, I've been a viewer of your content a while now. I've been watching you since October. I haven't really watched you since October because of my schedule. I'm shocked to learn your channel has been bombarded by memberships that pay pennies on the dollar. I'm reaching out. I think I have a solution. I don't know if you heard of a YouTuber called Totally Not Mark. He was getting copyrighted by Toho Animation for videos on how to draw Toho characters, like from the Dragon Ball series, which is ridiculous. Since in Japan, copyright is different, it seems like YouTube was letting them get away with it. The solution Mark found, he reached out to YouTube and he got them to block his channel in Japan entirely, so no one in Japan can view his channel at all. I tested this myself with a VPN. I pretended like I was in Japan. I clicked on Mark's profile. All I can do is read what he wrote. All of his videos are blocked to Japanese viewers. So maybe you could do that with what's going on with the VPNs to buy memberships for your channel. Well, I have a few things to say about this, all right? I was aware that this was going on, that this guy, Totally Not Mark, was actually, he was a long time person covering anime and manga. And his channel was being destroyed by Toho Animation. Apparently, he had even spoken with, like, the head of Toho. Like, he had reached out and had conversations to them and everything, and basically they didn't care. After a while, they just like, we don't care. It's our right to enforce whatever we want. So, too bad. And so he was getting nowhere. Now, I didn't hear about this whole, he talked to YouTube, and YouTube blocked his channel in a region. I don't even know how you would do that. With YouTube, there's no one to talk to but a partner chat, and the partner chat is just a bunch of people in a you know, what do you call it, call center? Because it's not really a call center, it's a chat center. And all they do is they read form letter responses off of facts. That's it. They don't have any information for you to help you whatsoever in anything. Like I said, to give you some example, 2 years ago, what was it, 2 years ago? Now it might have actually been 3 years ago. I discovered a huge bug on YouTube, all right? A loophole that if exploited could actually destroy YouTube. That's how bad it was, okay? I talked to YouTube in the chat and I explained step by step what it was. I showed them screenshots. I explained the whole process of how this was broken and it could ruin their entire site. They argued with me about it, saying that I'm wrong. I was like, but here's the evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Here is all the evidence presented to you of what I'm saying. You can't say it's wrong when I'm showing it to you step by step in these screenshots, okay? So finally, it just reached, they said, well, there's nothing we can do about it, you know, because, you know, whatever. So I just let it go, whatever. If the site breaks, I guess it breaks. I guess we got to move on and find livelihood elsewhere. Well, 2 months later, on a whim, I go to check. Oh, they fixed it. Now, did they actually talk to me about that? No. Did they let me know that maybe what I had said and shown as evidence, and, you know, maybe someone escalated it, and it went up the ladder, and finally someone with a brain looked at it and said, oh, shit, oh, wow, we got to fix it, and then they fixed it? I don't know. Did it have anything to do with me? I have no clue. You know, I'm nobody. I keep telling people this. I'm a tiny guy on YouTube. I don't bring in views. I don't bring in money for this site. I don't, okay? I'm just Joe Nobody. It's remarkable that I get to make a living doing what I do with how small I am. Okay? So when I speak, no one listens anymore. There was a time when I spoke, everyone listened, everyone cared, they took me seriously. Nobody gives a shit about me anymore, right? So I don't really get help with this kind of stuff. No, I don't believe that if I went to YouTube and I said, hey, so I have concrete evidence that someone's using a VPN to spoof and pretend like they're from another country, and they're using currency conversion issues to buy thousands of memberships for a few pennies. And so my entire channel's inundated with memberships. Everyone has one for free, and I'm not getting paid for it, and it's ruining my business. Please block the VPN locations of these areas. Do you think YouTube gives two shits about me? I'm nowhere near. Even this guy you're bringing up, Totally Not Mark, he's like 5 times bigger than me. No exaggeration. You know, just talk about anime and shit. This guy's like, you know, tons of views, tons of subs, you know, well-known, well-respected, not hated on by everyone. I hate to say it, like, I wish that I got a fair shake. I wish that I got treated equally like everyone else. I don't. I get treated like gum stuck on the bottom of your shoe. I get treated like a dog turd that someone sees on the side of the sidewalk. That's Dark Side Phil today. I don't get treatment that's deserving of respect. I get treated like, you know, I'm scum. So when I go to YouTube for help, they don't give two fucks about me. They brush me off, you know? And there's nothing I can do about that. That's what happens when the internet makes me the butt of their joke and ruins my reputation for over 10 years. So now I can't get help with anything, you know? Right now, no, I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever that if I went to YouTube and I said, hey, so this is happening, can you block regions, that anyone would give two fucks. I don't think so. At all. I think they would let, you know, no, can't do, don't do that. What are you talking about? Right? And if I said, well, what about Totally Not Mark? They're like, we don't know what you're talking about. Right? That's how they are. Basically, it sounds to me like Totally Not Mark, probably lawyered up, right? Probably paid for a lawyer to contact YouTube about the issue, and YouTube worked with his lawyer to get this done. I don't have that kind of money, clout, or any kind of attention, control, nothing. They don't care about me. So I don't think that would ever happen, quite frankly. I just don't think that would be a solution for me. If YouTube actually had like a partner manager program who you work with someone directly to help you, right? If this was back in the day and I was partnered with Machinima, and Machinima had contact with actual humans at YouTube who weren't in the chat center, who actually had intelligent brains and control over things at YouTube, then yeah, then maybe that would be worth the shot. But I'm telling you right now, it's just not viable, you know, for me, for someone of my stature. I'm old news to YouTube. They don't give a shit about me. So, yeah, it's sad. I wish that sounds like oh wow, that sounds amazing. You know, listen to me. If YouTube doesn't care that people impersonate me on a daily basis and hit false copyright strikes against people and get their channel shut down, which is a huge legal ramification for them, YouTube could be sued for misuse of DMCA law by a class action lawsuit, and they will lose it because they're not verifying anyone's identity when they take down content. Their system is so inferior. You have to verify identity. You cannot have a legal proceeding happen without verifying the person is who they say they are. You can't just have an online forum take down someone's business. That's fucking illegal. Okay? And YouTube does it every day. If I've notified them that people are doing this mass in my name, which could potentially create a ginormous lawsuit against them, and they ignored me, and they gave me a form letter response from their legal team, and their partner chat said, that's not your problem. Have other people contact us with their lawyers, and we'll deal it case-by-case basis. That's the response I got. If that's what I got for that situation, I have zero confidence that they're going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to check for you. Oh, look at this. It looks like a bunch of people from this country just seem to be mass buying memberships for 0.0000 pennies, so let's just block the country from your viewership. That'll never happen. I tell you, Totally Not Mark, he probably went ahead and got a lawyer. And the lawyer contacted YouTube and said, listen, this is a big shortcoming of your system. You don't have proper law enforcement, so you're going to do this for him or he's going to sue you. And they probably said, we'll do it for you then. And they blocked his channel from Japan, so that way he could continue to do business and didn't get sued, right? I don't have that clout or money or I can't do that, you know? So I'm sad, you know, I just don't think that's going to work, okay? Okay, let's continue. I got a $1.25 tip. From an idiot, so I'm just going to ignore it. Let's continue. I got a $2 tip from Kirk. Remember, DSP is the perception, Phil Burnell is the reality. There you go. Whatever that means. Thanks, Kirk. Okay. Continuing on. Hold on here. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. That's fine. Hold on. Just checking on some emails here. I received a $25 tip from 1 Minute Man. He says, it's a good thing you finally decided to enter trapped rooms with only one person, unlike the mausoleum, with traps exploding all around you. Today your decisions will affect the rest of the game. Innocent people will die if you make the bad choice. Remember, the gold collector, the boss. You can repeat the same type of dialogue with someone. Maybe try reasoning for a positive outcome. Okay. So basically you're saying try to make good decisions, because bad decisions could work out bad for the story and playthrough. Okay. Well, I've tried to do my best in the playthrough so far, right? I really have. And I've tried to avoid I've definitely tried to avoid conflict when possible. Always in an RPG, if you have the ability to do persuasion or dialogue, talking, charisma, like Fallout 3 was really where all that started for me. And I've tried to carry that through in other video games as well. So we'll see what happens. Certainly, I know violence is not the answer. I mean, how many times in this playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3 is there always an option, oh, just attack? I'm sure you could do a crazy playthrough like that. Right? Where everything you do is just attack, attack, attack. Right? Obviously, that'd be pretty bad. I mean, didn't we have opportunity to, kill major characters, even potential teammates, early on in the playthrough if you just attack, attack, attack? So obviously, it's not what you want to do. I'm going to try to get my way out of situations without constantly fighting and killing. We'll see what happens today. I guess we'll see. How is it? Someone says it's spoiling to say innocent people might die if you make the wrong choice. If that's like that in every game with choice, what are you talking about? Here, should he say, any choices you make in this game don't matter. They're all just illusion of choice. Nothing matters. No, we know that choices in this game have impact. How's that a fucking spoiler? What are you talking about? It's like saying, just so you know, when you make choices in combat, you may defeat enemies. Oh, shit. What a spoiler. You can defeat enemies in combat? Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Anyway. Yeah, it's basically stating the obvious, but 1 Minute Man wants me to be careful. He's basically saying be careful, don't be rash, because if you're rash, you might have something happen that you regret later. And I appreciate that. That's a well-heeded warning. Today I'll be careful with the stuff that I do in the game and make sure that we try to make the careful decisions, right? And by the way, a lot of these decisions, I hate to say it, are based on dice rolls. And that's unfortunate because, like I said, if I do a dice roll and it turns out badly, we're rolling with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to save scum and be like, well, I really want this person to live and this person to die and this and that. And if it doesn't happen perfectly, I'm just going to keep reloading till I roll the right die roll. No, we're going to go with it. So we're going to see what happens today, I guess we'll find out as we play how it goes. I mean, I might have bad luck. Imagine if I roll a 1 and now I'm fucked. I did everything right in the playthrough. I got everyone allied the right way that I want. I got, and all of a sudden I roll a 1. Well, game over for that person. Well, fuck, I guess that's it. What else can you do, right? So I guess we'll find out. Okay, so guys, very little time left on the show. If you have any questions or concerns or a little bit of Q&A, tag me in the chat. Any other contributions I'll shout out, but tag me in the chat real quick. We'll do a little bit more, and then we're going to jump into Baldur's Gate 3 for today. By the way, I got to open the window because it got hot in here now. There we go. Ooh. Need air. I need air. Okay. Jade, I'll see you tonight for the co-op. Sounds good. Spider Dijon says, some days you do a short intro before playing the podcast animation. Other days you do a different one. Why? Depends on... It's called a cold open. If I have an interesting show where I know there's a lot of hot topics I want to talk about and I want to give you guys a little teaser cold open, I'll do that. And then I play a short and abridged version of the intro. If it's just a general day where it's just a normal podcast, nothing too crazy to talk about, I'll do the longer intro. Some weeks, I literally do the long intro all week, and other weeks I'll do the cold open. So, it depends. It depends on what's going on. See, I don't see the point in doing a cold open every single day, because I really don't think that forcing yourself to do a cold open makes sense if there's nothing to talk about. Then it becomes boring, right? Okay. Alright, I'm going to ignore this one too. There's basically people who are doing trolling tips today, and I'm ignoring them. Okay. Let's see here. Do you believe if you think positively, positive things will happen to you? Let me put it this way. I don't think anyone who's thought completely negatively about everything in their life has seen positivity. Because when you think completely negatively, even positive things that happen don't look positive anymore. All you see is the negative side of things. If you're a glass half empty person instead of a glass half full person, all you'll ever see is the bad. You'll never recognize the good around you. For a long time, I was like that. You know, things were going well, one little bad thing would happen, and here would be me ranting and raving about the one bad thing and ignoring the 25 good things around me, and that's not the way to go through life. Okay? That's really my attitude at this point. I hope you understand that. Okay? That's the difference. Listen, not everything's ever going to be perfect in anyone's life. There's always good things and bad things. But if you focus on the good things, you'll probably have more good things happen, or at least recognize the good things at a higher capacity, and you'll be happier. That's my take. Okay? Does that sound good? Does that make sense to everybody? Now I'm scrolling up. Avarice, I don't think there's any platforms that are going to respect me as a content creator, because in general, people only know me from the mass amounts of defamation. They don't know me from the actual content I make. How is it that people who are outsiders to my content come in and will watch it and be like, I don't get it. Nothing Phil does warrants the amount of negativity that he has on the internet at all. Yeah, he makes mistakes. He does stupid things that sometimes are deplorable, but then he usually recovers from it or makes up for it, or, you know, learns from his mistakes. He's a human like everybody else, right? And it's crazy because, again, what people have told me now, and this has been multiple people, this is not one person, this is multiple people who are outsiders who knew nothing about me and have now looked at me from an outsider's perspective. They look at the insane amount of content and hate about me every day on the internet, and then they just look at me and they're like, makes no sense. But because it's become commonplace, right? That this is now the common thing to happen. Hate on Phil. It's literally its own genre of content, right? And there's the demand for that genre of content, and YouTube allows that genre of content despite the fact that it is considered defamation and should not be on the internet. It will continue. So, no, how would any platform ever care about me when the vast majority of people will always just be negative about me just so they can to benefit, right? There you go. Bort License Plates did a super chat and says, DSP rules, you glorious, and then it went away. You glorious summa ma beach you. What the hell does that mean? Oh, Summa Beach. Get it? Like son of a bitch? but he typed it Somoma Beach. Okay, Bort license plate. Thank you for that. Bort license plate. There you go. You typed it in code. You completely confused me. I didn't know what was going on. Why is Eve from Stellar Blade criticized for her outfit, but Tifa and Yuffie from Final Fantasy Rebirth are not? Probably because Eve is a brand new character developed today, and the game dev literally came out and said, yes, the reason we did that was for basically fan service, because we designed her on a model. We literally modeled her body parts to be sexualized so that people will buy the game. As opposed to, in Final Fantasy VII, those character designs are a remnant from a 1990s era where literally everything was trying to be over-sexualized. Take a look at Lara Croft, take a look at comic books and things at the time. Everything was like that, so the characters were in line with that, right? Future iterations of Final Fantasy weren't really like that, if you take a look. So, I think that's the difference, is you're talking a bygone era that makes sense that in context today, they didn't change the character design so they look like that, as opposed to, oh, it's 2024 and we actually did this on purpose to get people to buy our game because they're a bunch of lusty dudes who are just fucking stupid and will buy a game on the main character's looks. That's the difference. Okay. Is that what it's called? People are saying male gaze. Is that what it's called? The male gaze? Is that actually what society is calling it now? Okay. In the 90s, it was ridiculous. Like, every comic book went super edgy. It was either ultra gory, full of swears, or super sexual content. There was entire comic book lines based on that. Like, Image Comics was, oh, a comic's for adults, not kids. Over-sexualized characters who are half nude, blood squirting, decapitations every issue, you know? It was just a thing in the 90s. And then over the 20 years after that, it completely phased out. And that's why I think when you have a game like this, like Stellar Blade, where totally the game that says, nah, that's what we're going for, I think people are like, it gets tons of attention, both positive and negative, because people just aren't used to that anymore. It's polarizing, right? Nightbot's malfunctioning, is that true? Nightbot is malfunctioning. Let's see. Maybe I gotta get Nightbot to rejoin. I did have an issue yesterday when I was trying to get Nightbot to change the schedule. It wasn't working, so maybe Nightbot has malfunctioned. Let me look. I'll try to get it to rejoin. Oh, it wasn't in the channel. That's why. Nightbot wasn't in the channel. I just told Nightbot to join the channel. Nightbot was not in because it had an error last night and I had to relog in and everything. And so I don't think Nightbot was in the channel. That's why it wasn't working. So now we gotta wait because I told it to join and now it actually says it did join. Let me double check. Because it actually said it wasn't in the channel, so that makes sense. That's why it wasn't working. If it's not there, it's not gonna work. Of course, now it has no stats for today because it wasn't in here. So hopefully it joins. Yeah, I don't know. Right now it's not working, but it might have had some issues. I'm looking. There's nothing wrong with Nightbot. I'm looking here. And all the commands are still there. It claims that it joined the channel. Oh, there it is. Ha ha ha. Oh my god, here comes 400 commands. Here they all come, guys. Boom, boom, boom. Like 15. Oh. Okay, it's back. It's working. Thanks for telling me, guys, because I noticed that last night. I think what happened was they actually changed their terms of service, and they wanted to be sure that you were aware of the terms of service changes before you continued to use it. So they forced everyone to essentially log back in, but I didn't realize that that had made Nightbot leave the channel. In fact, now I'm curious when I do my other content this week, if the same thing will happen on the React channels. I might have to have Nightbot leave and join again. So, we'll see. He's here now. Now it's working. There you go. All good. Thanks for the heads up. All right, guys. Let us end the show. I got to use the bathroom really bad. So, let's end the show. Okay? Thank you for watching. I guess we could remove the Valentine's Day art now, since now it's the end of that. I gotta figure out what I want to add next. Okay, let's remove the Valentine's Day for now. We'll add a new one. I have to see if I can find a new one, though. I don't know what else I've got that I could toss in here quickly. Probably not much. Anything quick? Oh, here we go. We'll add this one. I'll add 2 new ones. This actually isn't a new one. I used it as a thumbnail last year. I think it's a good one. There we go. We'll add these 2. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching the Level 1 podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show today. And the news segment particularly. And I hope to see you tonight. Whoa. I hope to see you tonight for the React show. For the React show. Boy, I'm stupid. I hope to see you tonight for the co-op stream between myself and Kat doing Dondoko Island. That's going to be a nice one tonight on the late stream. So I hope you'll join me for that. And when I come back on Friday, because I'm not here tomorrow, we'll have a lot to talk about. This update on Microsoft and Xbox in general and all of that, right? It'll be a good time. So thank you all. I'll see you Friday. Be safe on Thursday. I won't be here. Peace out and see you soon.